Just checking. I thought somebody was trying to log in. Welcome everybody to our sixth chakra tonight. We have moved up to the third eye chakra, which is that center in the forehead between the eyebrows. And it's kind of serendipitous because last night was a new moon and I had gone outside. It was a beautiful night for the new moon. And the theme or the theory behind both are very similar. So it's kind of cool that they're coinciding. So with a new moon, which we had last night, it's a time for really checking into the feeling of the inner landscape rather than seeing, and also tuning into your intuition, which also happens to be what the third eye chakra that we're dealing with today, Ajna, or sometimes pronounced Agna, is all about your intuition, that inner knowing, and becoming attuned with those that inner wisdom. And sometimes because we're very, those of you who are in the chakra or the kosha classes, we're very much in tune to our physical body and our mind body where we're thinking. And when we're very busy in our outer world, it's very hard for us to tune into our inner knowing. And sometimes many of us have become very disconnected with that inner wisdom and that clarity, and really doubt ourselves because of that lack of connection through the more outward world in which we live in. So today we're going to be tuning into that a little bit more. And we just did the throat chakra last week, which was using sound to connect and be that connector between the wisdom of the heart and the wisdom of the mind. So we're going to start with one round of Om. So taking a nice deep inhale and exhale to Om. And just taking a moment to tune into that inner vibration. And now with this chakra, the third eye chakra, we are looking at the element of light. And it's very much related to the pineal gland. Those of you that were in our solstice practice, we talked about the pine cone and how the pineal gland is actually shaped like a pine cone. And it relates it is sensitive to light. And so the pineal gland helps us tune into our circadian rhythms of night and day and of the seasons. And it's kind of an interesting gland because there's a lot of unknown things about it, but it is related as far as the chakra system to this third eye and that inner intuition and that inner knowing, that sixth sense. And so we're going to just take a moment to close the eyes, whether you're lying on your back or seated, and tune into your breath and into your inner landscape. And to that softness in the belly, so that the belly expands and contracts with your inhales and exhales as you settle into your space. And as you begin to settle into your breath, just take a moment to try to feel, with eyes closed, into your body. Without moving, see if you can sense the feeling of your thighs. And sometimes if we're not feeling any pain or movement or sensation, that can be really hard for some of us to tune into our various body parts and have any sensation or feeling of them. And then see if you can tune into the awareness of your hands. And maybe your hands are resting on your thighs. And see what you can feel there. Maybe it's warmth or tingling, or maybe it's nothing. And then see if you can tune into the sensation of your forehead. Maybe you can feel coolness or warmth of the air around you. And then as we continue with our inward attunement, we're going to set an intention. And again, new moon is a perfect time to set intentions for self-reflection, enlightenment. And as we think about our intention, rather than thinking about a goal, think about a feeling that you want to invite into your life over the course of this next month. What do you want to feel? And open up to your visions as you set this intention. And then we're going to move into alternate nostril breathing, which is excellent for connecting to our inner mind and calming and balancing the mind. So if you're lying down, you might want to move up to a seat. If you're already seated, you're ready to go. So alternate nostril breath has a very profound effect on our physiology, as well as helps to quiet the mind and balance both sides of the brain. And in chakra theory and yoga theory, there's these energy channels called nadis, which is why alternate nostril breath is called nadi shodhana. And there's a main channel that runs up the spine, intersecting through the chakras, which we have been working with. And then there's also these nadis of Ida and Pingala. And they start at the base, at the root, and they intertwine back and forth and end at the third eye chakra. So the left nostril, when we're working with the left nostril, is Ida, or which is the moon equivalent and cooling. It's more feminine and it's more yin-like. And Pingala is related to the sun, and that is more movement, more doing, more masculine, more heating. And so when we do alternate nostril, it helps to balance or bring us into balance and harmony. So today, usually you do it with Vishnu mudra, with the index finger and middle fingers down. But today we're going to bring those peace fingers up and place them on the forehead, and then use ring finger and thumb to close the nostrils. So start by inhaling through both nostrils, and then block the right nostril and exhale out the left. And a gentle pause at the end of your exhale. And then inhale through the left, with a gentle pause at the very top of your inhale. And then switch to exhale out the right. Gentle pause here. And then inhale through the right. Pause at the top. And then switch to exhale. Now, continuing like this, perhaps you can even begin to invite an image as you inhale, the stream of light going up to the midbrain, that space behind the forehead, as you pause, holding that light. And then exhale, watch the stream move with the breath out your opposite nostril. Now, continuing like that for 3 more rounds of breath. Envisioning that stream, inhaling to the center of the brain, to the pineal gland, pausing, and then switching to exhale. Pausing and staying there as you complete 2 more rounds like that. And whenever you have completed your alternate nostril, you can release your hands, keep the eyes closed, and just sit and notice any effect, perhaps a little more calmness or quietness in the mind. And then you can open your eyes. And we're going to start on hands and knees with cat-cow. Now, there's one thing I did forget before we started. If you have a block or some sort, or even a bolster, some of our poses we're going to be using a block or a bolster. So if you have that handy, gather that right now. And so, hands and knees. One of the things we're going to be doing, not only in these beginning poses, but also as we move through our sun salutations, is closing our eyes. So we're blocking out our perception of vision so that we can tune more into our inner vision, our inner clarity. So close your eyes as you come into cat-cow. And begin with your inhale, drawing the heart forward, lengthening. And then as you exhale, drawing the belly in, dropping chin towards chest, curling the spine up. And now keeping the eyes closed, just moving with your own breath. And you're probably going to notice that as you have the eyes closed, you automatically begin to slow down and come into a slower rhythm. Let's do 2 more rounds of cat-cow. Slow, even breath, keeping the eyes closed, and really tuning into that inner landscape, your inner sensations, the inner knowing of where your body is in space. And on your last one, press back to child's pose. And if you have a block, you can grab a block and place a block under your forehead and let the block even tilt a little bit so that you have actual feeling presence of pressure on that third eye chakra, that space on the forehead, to help you bring more awareness to that area. And just a couple of breaths here, whatever height you have your block is fine. One more breath. And then rise back up again into your tabletop. We're going to move in and out of extended tabletop. And so if you need to look before we begin, I'll just demonstrate. We're going to extend right arm and left leg, so opposite arm and leg, and use your inhale to get really long and use your exhale to curl in and curl the spine up just like you did in cat-cow. And we're going to do this 3 times on the same side. And see if you can keep the eyes closed as you move in and out, challenging your balance. And as you complete your third slow breath of the movements, you can release hand and knee down, pausing in your tabletop. And then we will do the second side again, eyes closed, extend your opposite arm and leg. And just take a breath here before you start moving, getting really long. And then use your next exhale to curl in. Again, slow movement with your slow breath, tuning in, finding your balance in the darkness of having the eyes closed. And as you complete your third round, you can release hand and knee down. Curl the toes under, lift the knees up, downward facing dog. Again, if you're able, keep the eyes closed through all of this. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, walk your feet towards your hands. Let the heart float up with your breath, eyes still closed. Exhale, belly draws in, and we fold. Inhale, rise up. And as you come to reach up to the sky, draw your hands into your heart center. Coming into mountain pose and pausing here, feeling that connection of your feet to the earth. Eyes still closed unless you start to get dizzy. And maybe bending your knees a little bit and grounding into the earth to feel that connection. If you need to take a little peek to make sure you're at the top of your mat before you begin, do that and close your eyes again. So we're going to do 2 rounds of regular sun salutations, and then we'll add some lunges into it. If you can keep the eyes closed through the whole time, great. So starting at the top of your mat, eyes closed, inhale, reach to the sky, tilt your chin, your face up to the sky as you reach up. And as you exhale, arms wide, fold forward, allowing your crown, your head to move towards the earth, grounding. Inhale, the heart floats up, hands to shins or to fingertips. And then exhale, plant your hands and step back into downward facing dog. And as we move through this vinyasa, choose how you want to move through it. Inhaling forward to plank, and this might be knees down. And you might lower through chaturanga, or you might lower knees, chin, chest, which is what I'm going to do. Draw your heart forward as you lengthen and rise up, cobra. Tops of the feet are pressing down, hands are pressing down, elbows back. On the exhale, press up and back, child's pose just on the exhale. Use the inhale to rise up and exhale back into downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths here. And then take one more long inhale to lengthen your spine and lift the hips up off the waist. As you exhale, step or walk your feet towards your hands. Inhale, lift your heart. Lengthen through the spine. Exhale, bow the head towards the earth. And inhale, rise up. Reach to the sky and draw into your heart. And just notice how this feels. You might be a little more connected to your breath as we flow through our sun salutations with eyes closed. Let's do one more round, just like the first one. Inhale, reach to the sky. Exhale, feel your body move through space with your eyes closed. Head moves towards the earth. Inhale, the heart floats up. Hands can slide up your shin. Exhaling, planting the hands and step back into downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank. Choose how you are going to lower down for your best body today. Knees, chin, chest, chaturanga, however you need to move. The heart draws forward and rises into your back bend. Exhale back, child's pose. The inhale slowly draws you up, and the exhale takes you back, downward facing dog. Take an inhale and lengthen up. As you exhale, step or walk your feet towards your hands. Inhale, the heart floats up, hands to your shins. Exhale, head moves towards the earth as we fold. Inhale, sweep wide, feel your body move through space as you reach to the sky and draw into your heart center. Okay, we're going to add lunges into our sun salutations now, and I'll instruct you as we move through. So again, if you can keep your eyes closed, fantastic. Inhale, move the arms through space, reach up to the sky. As we exhale, we fold, head moves towards the earth. Inhale, the heart floats horizontal to the floor. Exhale, bow down, stepping the right foot back, coming into a lunge position. Hands are still down on the floor. Take an inhale and lengthen. As you exhale, drop the right knee, coming into a low lunge. And use the inhale to rise up and reach to the sky. So back knee still down, left foot is forward. reaching to the sky. And then imagine as you inhale a light rising up from your base all the way to the crown, to the forehead, to the third eye. And as you exhale, watch it travel back down to your base. One more time. Inhale, the light rises up as we reach up. And this time as we exhale, the hands come down to the floor, lifting the back knee, stepping back, downward facing dog. Use your inhale to come forward to plank. Lower down however you wish to lower down. And rise up in your choice of back bend, cobra, maybe it's up dog. And exhaling back, downward facing dog this time. Let's just take 2 more breaths in your downward facing dog. Every inhale, feel your spine lengthen as you press the top of the mat away, lifting the hips up off the waist. And every exhale, feel into the feet and the hands grounding to the earth. Take 1 more inhale, and as you exhale, step or walk to the top of your mat. Inhale, let the heart float up. Exhale, bow the head to the earth. And inhale, moving the arms through space as you rise up and reach up to the sky, drawing into your heart center. Let's do 1 more round with eyes closed. Inhaling, reaching to the sky. And as we exhale, move through space, fold forward, head moves towards the earth. Inhale, the heart rises up with the breath. Exhale, we bow down, plant the hands, left foot steps back this time into our lunge. Take an inhale and lengthen from crown to heel. The exhale, we drop the left knee down to the mat. The next inhale, we reach up to the sky. And then again, envision that light as you inhale. A stream of light up the spine from the base all the way to the crown, filling the third eye. And as you exhale, travels back down to the base. 1 more inhale, lengthen up. And this time as we exhale, the hands come down, stepping or lifting the back knee and stepping back, downward facing dog. You always have the option to come into child's pose if you wish. Otherwise, inhale forward to plank. Exhale to lower down. Inhale, your choice of back bend, cobra or up dog. And the exhale takes you back to downward facing dog. 2 more breaths in your downward facing dog. Remember, every inhale lengthens the spine up. Your heels might be lifted, your knees might be bent. It's all good. Take 1 more breath here, and the exhale, step or walk to the top of your mat. Inhaling, the heart lifts. Exhaling, we bow down once again, and inhale, moving through space to rise up, reach up to the sky, press your fingertips together and draw into your heart center. Release the hands into mountain pose. Take just a couple breaths here, eyes still closed. Feeling all the sensations as we begin to move energy around the body. Taking a moment for present moment awareness, just noticing how different that might have felt with your eyes closed. Or you might have noticed more inner sensations than when the eyes are open. Allowing us a different glimpse or a new perspective as we move through our practice. You can float your eyes open. And we're going to move into some more standing poses as well. Starting at the top of your mat. Inhale, reach up to the sky. And exhale, fold forward. And you can have your eyes open now. Inhale, heart lifts. And then exhale, step back with your right foot. So we're going to rise up into crescent moon. So staying high on those back toes and lifting, reaching up to the sky. And we're moving into a twist. So press the the hands together, draw through your heart center. Lengthen forward. We're twisting to the left. So I'm going to ask you to continue to look down at your left foot as you twist to your left. And keep looking at that foot. The belly button twists to the left. And now slowly turn your gaze up towards the ceiling. And notice how that changes the pose and possibly your ability to balance. One more breath here. And then hands down to the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. So I'm going to give you options here throughout our practice. You can go ahead and do a vinyasa here if you wish. You can come into child's pose, or you can stay in downward facing dog for a couple of breaths. And we'll all meet in downward facing dog. And once we all meet back in downward facing dog, we're going to float that right leg up to the sky in three-legged dog. And then as we exhale, draw that knee forward, step that foot to the top of your mat. We're just moving into our twist on our second side. So staying high on the back toes, rising up, reaching up, lengthening up. And then drawing your hands to your heart center. Find a drishti or a spot to gaze at. Focusing your gaze, and then begin to lean forward. We twist to the right. Again, looking at your front foot, your right toes, as we twist to the right. Once you've found your twist, slowly begin to shift your gaze up to the ceiling. One more breath. And then release, step back, downward facing dog. So just really taking some time to notice how the gaze, what we're looking at, our drishti, can affect our poses and how different they can feel when our gaze is elsewhere. Again, you can take a flow and meet us back in down dog. You might stay in down dog, or you might take child's pose. You get to decide what your body needs, listening to your inner intuition, not the mind telling you what you should do, but what you really need. Now let's float the left leg up to the sky in three-legged dog. And as you exhale, step that foot up between your hands, pivot the back foot down for warrior two. So rising into your warrior two, extending through the arms. Feel into the ground of your feet. And then as we inhale, peaceful warrior, your back hand could be, on your back thigh or come to the small of your back as you reach up. Actually, let's all have your hand, your bottom, your back hand, your right hand at the small of your back. And then, if your shoulders allow, bend the elbow of that top arm. Maybe your bottom arm might reach towards it. So we're in a position of what's sometimes called cow face when we're seated, but lengthening that left elbow up, reaching it up to the sky, and then release the arms back out into warrior two. We're going to pivot the back foot into crescent lunge again. So up on the back toes, This time, reach the right arm up to the sky. The left arm comes to the small of the back. So opposite of what we just did. Bend that top arm. And again, your hands might connect or they might not. So it's fine to just have your left arm at the small of the back, or connecting them, or moving them in some direction of being close to one another. I'm about to move into the tree here. And then we're going to shift forward into Warrior 3. So you can, if you've got the grasp, you can keep that grasp, or you can also extend the right arm straight with the arm at the small of the back, depending what's appropriate for your shoulder. So coming into Warrior 3, or extending the arm out in front of you. So either one is appropriate, either this or this in your Warrior 3. For one more breath, and then stepping back into your crescent, reaching up to the sky, drawing your hands through heart center, and hands down to the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Again, same options as before. Child's pose, staying in down dog, or taking your flow and meeting us back in downward facing dog. As we all meet in downward facing dog, we're going to float right leg to the sky, three-legged dog. And as you exhale, step that foot up between your hands, pivoting the back foot down for Warrior 2. And I'm going to have my back to you, but you'll see hand placement as we rise into our Warrior 2. Hopefully you can still hear me okay. So again, starting by reaching out in our traditional Warrior 2, gaze at your middle finger, finding that focus for your drishti. And then moving into Peaceful Warrior. If it's appropriate for your shoulder, come to the small of your back. If it's not, hand can remain here, or maybe just at your sacrum, whatever works for you. And then bending the top arm, bending the elbow, reaching the elbow up. And you might have your hand reaching toward your shoulder blade. It might be at the back of your head, or you might move the two toward one another. Lifting that elbow. And then releasing, pivoting onto the back toes. Sorry, I gotta move back. Reaching up to the sky. Now left arm reaches, right arm comes to the small of the back. And again, if it's appropriate, bend the top arm. Maybe moving the two arms toward one another, the two hands, or keeping it the small of the back, shifting forward into your Warrior 3. And again, you might just extend that left arm, or you might keep it in the Gomukhasana mudra. And then stepping back, reaching up to the sky in your crescent lunge, and hands come down to the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. This time we're going to take an inhale, and our exhale is going to bring us to the top of our mat, stepping, walking, or floating. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, we bow. Inhale, move through space, draw through your heart center. And take a couple breaths in mountain pose. Again, closing the eyes, just turning into that inner awareness, that present moment awareness, feeling the energy flowing. Coming back to your intention that you set at the beginning of class, of how you want to feel. How can you invite that into your practice, whatever that was for you? My word tonight was freedom. So inviting some freedom into my practice, and see how you can and invite that into your practice, whatever your intention was tonight. So we're going to, from the top of your mat, step back. Let me just see which one I want to do so that you can see. Stepping back with your right foot. And then pivoting that right foot down for warrior one. So about a 45-degree angle, we're facing the top of our mat. Inhale to reach up and bend the front knee. Intertwine your fingers and bring the top, or bring your hands intertwined to the top of your head. And as you inhale, flip the palms up to the sky and reach up to the sky. And as you exhale, bring them back down to the top of the head. So again, we can envision that light as we inhale and reach up, drawing that light all the way up to the third eye, to Ajna, our center of clarity. And as you exhale, bring the hand back to the top of the head. One more time, inhale, reach up. And exhale, bring it back down. Then release your arms out to the side, reaching long, bringing right arm under left for eagle arm. So I'm going to give you a couple of options here. I'm turning just so you can see. If you can't comfortably for your shoulders wrap around so that your palms come together, you can also just bring your palms together. Whichever variation works for you, and whichever variation you've got of your hand mudra, see if you can bring your thumb to your forehead, to the center of your forehead. Taking one more breath here, and then we're going to shift forward and come into eagle pose. So begin to lean forward, come up on your toes. Again, I'm running into the tree. And bring that right leg over and across and come into eagle pose. If you're able, keeping that thumb on the forehead. So just like an eagle, having that sharp vision. And as an eagle soars high up above, it has a clear view of the big picture, which is what we are trying to cultivate by checking in, tuning into our inner wisdom. Take one more breath here, and as we exhale, draw elbows towards your knees, coming to a very one-pointed focus here. One more breath. And then we're going to open or spread our wings as though we're going to fly and draw into your heart center. So let's go ahead and move into our second side. Stepping our left foot back this time. And coming into warrior one, pivoting that back heel down, intertwining your fingers, palms come towards the top of the head, elbows out to the side, front knees bent. As we inhale, reach the palms up, turn the palms to the sky, and imagine that light traveling all the way up the spine, to the third eye, to the crown. And as we exhale, flip the hands back down to the crown. Two more times. Inhale, so you're drawing that light up through your spine to the head. And exhale, palms come back down. One last time, inhale. Drawing that light, that energy up. And exhale. This time we release the hands out to the side. Left arm is going to come under right if you're intertwining, or bring your hands, your palms together in prayer. Thumb to your forehead, whichever variation you're doing. And then come up on your back toes. We begin to shift forward, and the left leg comes through and come into your eagle pose on your second side. And again, bringing that quality of the eagle, and those eagle eyes, their ability to perceive and to see clearly. Take one more inhale here, and let the exhale begin to draw elbow towards the knees to our one-pointed focus. One more breath. And then we will spread our wings wide for flight. Draw your hands through heart center and release. Coming into your mountain pose once again, taking a moment for reflection, closing the eyes, drawing inwards, feeling into that inner landscape once again. And now, top of your mat, inhaling to reach up, exhaling, we bow. Inhale, heart floats up. Exhale, the right foot steps back, pivots down. We're moving into triangle. So we'll rise up into our warrior two, which we've already done, but straightening the front leg this time. Tiny micro bend in the knee. Reach as far as you can to lengthen that left side body and move into your variation of triangle. Let's work our triangle like we did with our lunge, looking down at the foot and then slowly turning your gaze up to your fingertips. And then let your gaze flow past your fingertips up to the ceiling. One more breath. And then rise up. Intertwine your fingers behind your back. Bend the front knee for humble warrior, moving the head towards the earth for that earth energy. And as we turn upside down in our humble warrior, you may even feel that increase in energy, blood flow moving into the head, to the brain. One more breath here. And then leading with the chest. Come all the way up. Turn your toes to the long side of your mat. Release the hands straight out to the side or hands to your hips. Exhale, fold forward and allow your hands to come towards the floor or towards a block if you need a block. Feet are parallel and the feet are pressing down into the earth. Some of you may have the flexibility to fold the top of the head towards the floor and maybe even intertwining your fingers. Again, we're allowing that flow of blood and energy to the head, to the brain, to that third eye, our center of wisdom, clarity, and clairvoyance. And then you can release hands either to the legs, to the hips, or straight out, rising up on an inhale. Let's just turn the right toes to the other end of our mat. And moving into our triangle second side. So reaching, creating length in the right side as you move into triangle and look towards your front toes here. And then slowly begin to turn the gaze up to gaze your drishti to your fingertips. And from your fingertips, let the eyes, the gaze drift beyond all the way up to the ceiling. Take one more breath here. And then inhale, we come all the way up. Intertwine the fingers behind the back. Bend the front knee, moving into humble warrior second side. Opening the heart, we fold forward again, bringing that energy up to the head. Allow the neck to be relaxed. One more round of breath here. And then we slowly inhale, come all the way up. Turn your toes to the long side of your mat. Turn your toes back to the top of your mat. Hands come down, step back, downward facing dog. Now, if you want to take child's pose for a breath or two before we move into our dolphin. Go ahead and take a breath or two, or take a vinyasa if you want to flow and flush that out. But we're all going to meet back in downward facing dog. So from our downward facing dog, once you've all arrived there, I'm going to come down to the forearms. So onto the elbows. You can either intertwine your fingers or press your palms flat, whatever's more appropriate for your shoulders. I like fingers intertwined. Some of you who do shoulder or headstand, you can be at the wall and move into a full headstand, but the rest of us are just going to walk our feet up. My head is not actually down on the mat, but if I was going to go into a full shoulder or headstand, I would. But I'm not going to today. I'm just going to simply lift one leg. And you can really feel the energy and the blood flow coming to the head here as we invert ourselves. And then I might lift the other leg. And you don't have to. You can just stay in dolphin. Keep pressing the floor away from you. And again, some of you might actually be in full headstand up against the wall. That's fine, but not necessary. And then when you're done, whichever variation you are doing, we're going to come down into child's pose. So after all that strengthening in dolphin, it's kind of nice to come into classic child's pose with forearms alongside the shins. And your block handy. If your forehead doesn't easily come to the floor, we want the forehead to be resting on something. You can bring that block under your forehead again. Taking a few breaths here. So from here, I'm going to give you an option. We're going to move into rabbit pose. If you haven't done rabbit or you haven't done teddy bear, which is another option, sort of a little inversion, you can just look up for a minute and I'll do a quick demo as to your options and then I will guide you through it. So for rabbit pose, I'm in my classic child's pose with my arms alongside my shins. Simply grabbing my heels. If that's not available to you, grab your ankles, whatever your grasp allows. As I start, my forehead is on the floor. And as I lift my hips up, notice how I roll to the top of the crown of my head. So I'm not trying to keep my forehead down as I am in child's pose. Hopefully you can hear me. I just allow my head to roll. And this is rabbit pose, which is a really nice stretch through the back body. Now from here, you can stay here or release back to child's pose when I cue you, or you can release your hands so that your head and your hands form a triangle, and my elbows are a 90-degree. And then lifting my knees just easily come to my elbows, and maybe your toes come up. So this is like a little inversion called teddy bear. So you can go, if you haven't already moved into it because you didn't know where we were going, go ahead from your child's pose, grab your heels, your ankles, whatever is available to you with the proportions of your body, into rabbit pose, lifting the hips up and allowing the head to roll from forehead to crown. And staying in your rabbit pose for a few breaths. And then decide, tune into that inner wisdom if going into the mini inversion of teddy bear is where you want to go next, or maybe you want to stay in rabbit or release down into child's pose. You choose. If you choose teddy bear, remember you're forming a triangle with your hands and your head. And you're on the crown or the top of your head. Your elbows are bent at 90 degrees. And then you simply lift your knees up. And as you lift your knees pretty much come right to your elbows. Let your knees rest on your elbows and possibly let your toes float up off the mat. So whatever variation of these three poses, child's pose, rabbit pose, and teddy bear you're in, we're all going to meet back in child's pose. And take a few breaths there. And whenever you're ready, if you've moved through the poses equally, and you're ready to come out of child's pose, you're going to just come up to a seat. And I'll give you a minute for everybody to arrive there. And as you come into a seat, grab your block or prop or bolster, whatever you have that you're working with, because we're going to do a few seated poses with our block before we wind down into our Shavasana. So with legs extended straight out in front of you, bend the right knee into Janur Sasasana. So this is kind of like tree pose. So my right foot is in the inside of my thigh, flexing my left toes so they point up to the sky. And so normally in this pose, we turn towards the straight leg, and fold forward. But for today, I'm going to fold right into that center between that little triangle between my right and left knee and use my block here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by reaching up to the sky and come into a little side bend to get into the side body. And we're going to do both sides, so it doesn't matter which side you did first. And just nice side body stretch. And then coming back to center, grabbing your block and folding forward right in between the two legs, whatever height. And maybe you need two blocks, or maybe you have a bolster that you put up on end, or maybe you've got three different variations of height if you have a block, or maybe you have a stack of cushions or a book with a blanket on it. But we want your forehead to be able to rest on something, this third eye, to bring awareness here. And again, you choose appropriate height for your body. You're tuning into what your body is saying to you. So don't just push it from its point of ego. Find what's best for you. And really breathing into this. Perhaps as your forehead rests, you can bring that intention of what you want to feel into your practice. If you said you wanted to feel energized and that was your intention, maybe you fire up the muscles in both legs a little bit more. And if your intention was relaxation and letting go, then you soften into the pose a little bit more. Two more breaths. And then we slowly come up. We're simply going to switch legs. I'm shifting, the floor here is really cold, so I'm shifting to the right side of my mat as I bend my left knee, so all of me can stay on the mat, so you can do the same. And then we start with our side bends here, reaching up to the sky. And again, it doesn't matter which side you do your side bend on first. We just want to come into both sides. And then again, your prop, whatever your prop looks like. And again, rather than bending to our straight leg as we normally do in this pose, we're going to bend right in between the triangle here. And one side might feel different than the other, so you might not go as deep on one side. Let your eyes close. Let yourself tune into your inner landscape, to your inner knowing of what's best for you here. Whether your legs are energized or you're softening into the pose. We've got 3 more breaths. And then slowly coming up. Releasing both legs straight out in front of you. Maybe I should be doing this to the side. And we're going to move into Paschimottanasana this time, which is both legs extended straight out in front. And again, we can use our prop here. This time we're going to flex your toes so they reach up to the sky. Take an inhale and get nice and long. And as we exhale, hinging right at the hips, we fold forward. And if you have a bolster, you might even have your bolster on its end so that you don't, if you're tight in your hamstrings, so that you don't bend far. And just allow the block to be, or stacked blocks. You might have 2 blocks that you can stack up. Whatever is appropriate for you, so that your forehead can once again rest on something. Three more breaths here. Some of you might, I should have said this earlier, you might have a rolled up towel under your knees so you're not hyperextending, or will also help if you're really tight in your hamstrings to release any tension on the low back. One more round of breath here. And then we release, slowly come up. And I think this one I'll demonstrate this direction. This is like half Gomukhasana or cow face. And traditionally in cow face, we have both legs bent and knees stacked. And that grasp that we did in some of our standing poses would look like this. But today, we're going to leave the left leg straight and just bring the right knee bent over top. I'm hoping, I can't tell if you can see that, but I've got my knees, they're almost stacked over one another. That might not necessarily happen for everybody, but that's the direction we're moving in. Your straight leg toes are flexed. And again, we're going to use that block. So you might put your block on that top knee and let your forehead rest. Some of you, that block might be on your shin as you fold forward, or you might have stack blocks or a bolster. Again, looking for a spot for the forehead to rest and bringing awareness into that area. And allowing some softness here, allowing the breath to begin to soften, allowing the mind to begin to soften and quiet, and coming back to your intention once again. And this is also appropriate to have a roll under that front knee, which I, again, forgot to say. And then go ahead and come up. And I will say it now, if you want to roll a towel or blanket under that right knee, that's going to remain straight, and bring the left over. So this is a much tighter side for me. But again, my knees aren't completely one over the other, but they're moving in that direction. Find your prop height for this side as you fold forward, whether it's on your knee or your shin or the floor, whatever is appropriate for you here on this side. Maybe I'll turn to the side for a side view. And again, you might have something under that knee. Maybe it's even your hands if you don't have a towel or a blanket to roll up. One more breath here. Eyes closed. Beginning to bring the energy of the practice down and allowing a quieting of the mind. And then you can go ahead and come upright, bending your knees and lowering down onto your back, arms straight out to the side. And just pausing here for a moment, letting the pelvis, letting the organs all settle into the body. And then letting the knees drop to one side as your head rolls opposite. And we're just going to windshield washer the knees with the breath from side to side. And do this a few times. And then using your intuition as to when it feels appropriate and you want to stop maybe on one side and stay there for a little bit and soften into the pose. Maybe you feel like you want to windshield washer slowly back and forth. Maybe that's feeling really good for you. We've got a few more breaths. Maybe you feel like it's time to switch sides. Let your eyes close and again soften into it. And let's spend a few more breaths just evening things out. So if you've only done one side, make sure you move to the other side. And take a few more breaths. Let's have 4 more breaths, evening everything out from right to left. And then as you're ready and pausing back into center, we're going to slowly draw the knees in towards the chest, wrap the arms around, lift the forehead and draw your forehead towards your knees as though you're trying to touch your forehead to your knees. And then release and come into your final Shavasana. So finding socks and sweaters, blankets, whatever you need to be comfortable in your Shavasana. Taking this time for some stillness and allow all the effects of the practice of your intention to settle into a quiet mind. And I think what I'm going to do is take you through our third eye meditation while you're in Shavasana, because I think it'll be really nice to do it while you're laying down. So go ahead and get yourself set up to be comfortable. Making any last minute adjustments. And once you're lying on your back, lift your right leg up, lengthen it as much as you can, and then set it back down on your mat. And then lift your left leg up, lengthen it as much as you can, and set it back down. And then roll your head to the right, letting your head stay down on your mat, and then roll your head to the left. And then roll your head back to center. And then let yourself soften down. Eyes are closed. And for a moment, as you begin to prepare for stillness, bring your awareness to the forehead, to that third eye center, that world of higher and faster vibration. That vibration of light. And that beautiful world of seeing and intuition, of imagination and insight, of clairvoyance, dreams, and inner vision. Here you're seeing inside your own mind. Soften down into stillness and quietude for the next few moments. remaining in this restful awareness. Begin to become aware of your breath moving through your nostrils, rising and falling. And imagine it as two separate streams. Watch it move effortlessly. And on this movement, begin to see or feel the breath as alternate nostril breath. And begin to see that apex at the movement is in the midbrain, that space behind the forehead. And instead of just airflow, what you're seeing or feeling is a path of light or awareness or presence. And as you continue with this pattern, sense more and more light or presence accumulating in the midbrain. The light becoming more concentrated. You may even notice a sense of the body disappearing, that you are this light with this pulse, and the light is you. Gradually start to sense that the mind is shifting from intellect to intelligence, from movement of mind to restful awareness. Here you are seeing inside your own mind. Here we recognize patterns, bits of information, and see the bigger picture and how we fit into that bigger picture. Can we imagine what it would be like to live outside of our social conditioning, where we'd be free to live as empowered, free-thinking individuals? When we finally let go of who we think we should be, we are free to live our lives passionately and honestly. Pay attention to what you see and observe, and know that this is where you access all the gifts of Ajna, the wisdom of your third eye. Slowly begin to deepen your breath, making your way into fetal position. Waking the body with gentle movements, and eventually making your way to a seat. Keeping the eyes closed as you make your way up into your new position, your new seat. Taking a nice deep inhale, lengthening your spine up, and exhale, settling into your seat. And for a moment as we sit, bring your awareness back to the intention you set at the beginning of class as to how you want to feel what feelings you want to bring into your world. And then slowly bringing hands to heart center. Let's close this practice with one Om, taking a deep inhale through the nose and exhale out your mouth. And then we'll inhale to Om. And with eyes closed, just take a moment to perceive the room around you before you open your eyes. Sense your body in that space. And then slowly begin to allow the eyes to flutter open. Namaste.